you're the guy we're going out there with, what is it going to look like? So they earn the opportunity to go out there and kind of compete and show what it would look like if they were the starters.
Chris? On that note, how did those young guys do today handling the operation of a scrimmage?
I think the operation was solid, but it could be a lot better as far as the details when you get into the situational football, whether it be changing from going to a third and long, from a third and medium, from going to a fourth and short to a third and short, two totally different scenarios in the mentality of the offensive line. So I want to see improvement in that, but overall I was pleased with how they operated in the normal D&D, the red zones and things, but I think in those critical situations the communication has to be better, which is why you give them those opportunities, because they're not afforded those opportunities a lot, because in practice it's segmented. It's more just, hey, we're in third down, so their mentality goes. But in the game, you get to play 14 of a drive and the situation changes. You got to be able to lock in mentally. So just that challenge is a part of their development, but also, we got to improve on it.
Matt?
What's up, Coach? Norvell praised Andre Otto once again, saying he's had a big week this week. What did you see from him in the scrimmage if he got more reps as one of the younger guys?
Otto's biggest character trait is his willpower. I mean, he's going to will himself into be a good player. He's gonna meet you to death. He's gonna know it. He's gonna challenge himself. He's gonna push himself to the edge. I know Coach talked about guys that were pushing themselves to almost full body cramping in Jacksonville. He was one of those guys that knew he was, his body was failing. He just kept pushing, going to celebrate with teammates. The thing that's going to help him is his versatility and how much he's learned in a short period of time. I mean, he's played tackle, guard, and now he's operating at center. He gave him some one guard reps. I mean, I've loved his mentality and approach to it. And the biggest compliment you can get is from the defensive line. I mean, I was walking to the cafeteria the other day, and those guys were saying, man, the defensive line, starters particularly, were like, yo, Otto's going to be a really good player. So I think anytime those guys are complimenting a young O-lineman like that, that's a big, big, big badge of honor.
Brendan?
Imagine you guys have a pretty good idea of what you have with Murray Smith at center. I wonder who are some of the other guys who have performed well, stood out to you at the center position this camp.
Yeah, Richie Leonard, he took quite a bit of center reps today, and he did a really good job. And we've given him series here. I thought he's done a wonderful job. Rizzy probably had his best scrimmage as a center today. I mean, I thought he was more consistent, leadership and things of that nature. And, of course, Otto can jump in there and play it, and he went with the ones a little bit too today at center, which showcased his ability. So that's good. And we always got Darius who can jump in there, who's actually played in games. So I have no concern about that position just because of the depth we've built with the guys we have on the roster and starters that have already played the position.
Chris? How did DJ handle today? And in general, just what do you think of his development throughout 14 practices?
Yeah, I mean, DJ was giving it all, man. I mean, there was nothing held. There was no spoon feeding. We put the whole playbook on him. And what I've loved about it is how he's been able to settle and then kind of making it his own, where he's not learning the Florida State offense. He's learning the offense is changing into the kind of his offense where, okay, now I like doing this, and he can kind of put your personal stamp on it. So I like that development because of what he's comfortable with, how he's now changing the play, changing the cadences, understanding where to go to, building a relationship with the receivers. It's been fun to watch because it's just been a steady climb of progression. And sometimes, we get caught up in the result of it, but we're looking at the decision-making. What did you saw pre-snap? Did you like this? Why did you change this? And those conversations have improved so much, man. I'm excited to see, as he continues to grow and kind of, take the offense, with two hands.
Following up on that, is he at the point now, we all talk about him as a transfer, as a newer guy, but is he at a point now when you put out younger offensive linemen or younger skill guys where he knows everything and can kind of direct things the way you expect a veteran quarterback to be able to do?
He's improving. I think, yes. I think he definitely can do that where you can put him out there and he can line guys up. But also, there's a process of your understanding and then going to tell the younger guys what to do. So I think that his understanding has gotten there and he's helping those other young receivers. I think that'll continue to progress if we build toward game planning, certain type of game plans where it's not all. But I have no concern about his full knowledge of not only his position but the other positions as well.
Brendan?
Throughout camp, which wide receivers have stood out to you, Alex? Do you have a decent idea of what the rotation is going to be at this point?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've really enjoyed watching like Jaylen Brown emerge, Elijah Moore. Those guys have kind of progressed more than I was even anticipating or gave him credit for. So to see those guys, like I saw Jaylen Brown make a couple of guys miss today, and Elijah Moore had a couple of catches. Those younger guys have been really impressive. And I also want to give a shout out to the tight ends, Courtney and Kyle, man. They really did a good job this camp of showing their contested catchability, understand the offense, running some of the option stuff that we're doing. So I've enjoyed watching those guys progress. But overall, the receiver group, I mean, we got a steady group of, like, veterans that we know of, but it was really challenging the Jalen Browns, the Maliks, the younger Cam Fryer, all those guys, man, just challenging them to kind of act as if you're the starter and you're going there and you're going to be the guy. So today I saw Ja'Kai. He had some big plays today. Jalen Brown did. So I was excited about that group as far as showcasing playmaking ability and not just what's there in the offense.
It felt like for a variety of reasons, you know, the running game was so great in 2022, and then last year it felt like it wasn't quite that standard. Do you take that personally, and how much better do you feel about the way you guys are able to run it when people know you're going to run it going into this season?
It's always, that's the telltale sign of a good team, that you just line up and run the ball whenever you want to. You know, there's a reality piece of it is that it got to be strategic, angles, leverage. All of that has to kind of tie into it. But, yes, the goal is always to be a football team that can line up and run the ball against whatever look, any situation at all. And that's what kind of gives you those games where you can close out in the fourth quarter. What I was proud about in the last year's game, what we didn't do a great job in 22 was being able to finish games with the run game. When you go back and watch, when you're down in games, can we finish games in the fourth quarter by utilizing the run game to close games? So I was proud of that from 23. I thought that improved from 22 to 23. I thought in 22 we had more rushing yardage and production part on paper, but I was glad that the run game was able to close out. And also we had some good guys on the edges that we wanted to make sure they got the ball a little bit more than we did the year before. So I think the challenge is making sure that we can win obvious situations. That's the telltale sign, because you can trick a team with run game. Like, you can call a run on 3rd and 17 and get 16 yards. You got to punt the ball, but the rushing stats go up. So I think the goal is to be, everybody in the stadium knows you're passing the ball. Can you protect? Everybody in the stadium knows you're running the ball. Can you run the ball? Those what are the telltale signs of now you're going from being a good offensive line or a good offense to an elite style where you be going top 2, top 3 O-lines in the country, and that's kind of the mentality going in with as much experience that we have.
You talked about the tight ends a little bit. How much a guy like Kyle Morlock, is that kind of the prototypical leap you want to see a guy make from year 1 to year 2? And then I know Amari Williams, Coach Travell said, took a big jump from scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2. I guess how impressed you've been with him as a guy who should be going into his senior year of high school coming in?
Well, it's just overall rep count, as many reps. Like, that's why you do things like today and give those opportunities to be able to go showcase their ability and showcase their learning. So I think just the reps put in, you should see the progress. You should see the leaps. And also, Cal's got a lot of game reps under his belt, too. So it's not just practice reps, but it's also them finding themselves in the offense, because when you first come, you're just learning it. You're just learning it. You're doing what it said. Then as you get the rep count, you start getting the details. Okay, maybe I can push this a little bit more vertical. Maybe I can sit this a little short. Hey, they just brought the nickel. I can get my eyes around quick because he'll be looking for me. It's really just turn the offense, instead of just routes and patterns, to more fit into what's necessary in the actual play, which comes with reps and experience and continuity of the guys that you're working with. So I'm expecting those leaps as they get those rep counts. And Amari's a little bit different because he's still learning it. His is just raw ability and his competitive nature, which is showcasing his ability. But as he continues to get those reps and to continue to progress, you'll see him taking onus in it of, like, all right, now let me get those small details that make you from just a good offense of okay, I did the right thing, to I adjusted and made the plays that was necessary for the success.
You mentioned earlier the defensive lineman complimenting Otto. Do you sometimes find yourself at practice or when you're watching film seeing what this defense is doing, particularly the defensive backs? And I know that obviously the whole defense, but just appreciating what you guys are going up against and how much fun it's going to be able to watch them on Saturdays?
Oh, absolutely. One of my favorite persons to talk to is Shaheem Brown. I always give him, he's an active guy on defense, and watching him play and watching him develop has been fun. I always give him, a little smoke, just because I'm like, we ain't changing much, so you know what's coming. Like, you got a pretty good idea of what the cadence is, what the route's going to be, who we're talking to, the signals in the conversation. So I give him a lot of hard time. But I've liked is their steady progression of competition where, everything is contested. Even when it's blocked up, you still got to get fight to get 3 or 4 yards. That's what you want to be, because if we was out there just killing them, then we'd be bad on defense. If they were just killing us, we'd be like, so you want some back and forth there, the competition where everything's fit up. Now who can go finish the drive and go make plays that are contested, because that's what gets us better. We create an environment where our hardest competition is within the team, where you're out there, like our practice should be harder than the games is what we're trying to create here. So, I mean, I love our defense, man. And I've been with Adam since Chattanooga in 2012, so I'm used to seeing those guys flying around, hitting, and I mean, this is what the standard is. It's been there.
I understand with the running game, you guys have so many different types of running backs. Do you have an idea of like how many you could use really reasonably throughout a game? I guess what's the balancing act there of how you can use the running backs?
We don't say really how many. Some of it is situational, but I mean, there's no cap on it. I mean, we've been in games and we've had some games where we had 5 guys touch the football. So it's more of just what the situation calls for. Who's running, the hardest and things like that. Plus, we have really multiple backs. We got guys that can line up at different positions and line up at receiver and catch routes out the backfield, catch screens, and protect. And so it's a little bit situational, but I would say we don't have an ideal number of this is the amount of running backs we want to rotate throughout the game. But I would say the average is probably about 3 is where we get to, 3, and then that 4th one being situational, just probably how it averages out. But there's no plan of saying, hey, we're going to play this many backs. If we got good backs that can go, we'll rotate them all. If they all, there's no drop-off.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank y'all.